so strong enough.
I'm gonna start growing lettuce downstairs too. I went to buy a head of lettuce the other day. $8.99 for one head of lettuce. I shit you not. $8.99. Not happening. Absolutely not happening in my house. That is outrageous. So, you know, it's time to start buckling down here and get an indoor garden going during the wintertime. Gardening is not just become a hobby anymore for me. It's actually become a necessity. I think that's kind of true for all of us. It's becoming a necessity. Because I'm not paying $9 for leaves. That's not happening. Okay, so check it out. I do have lettuce. It's kind of old and I'm not really going to use it. So, but I also have celery that I'm going to use tonight. I'm just going to cut the tops off here. And then I'm not using it yet. So I'm just going to cut this right here at the base. Not completely at the base. Leave like that much. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paring knife. I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to take my paring knife and I'm just going to barely skim the bottom of it. Just barely peel it. Like that. Just barely peel it to expose the fresh root system. And then what I'm going to do, I have a little dish of water here. And that is going to sit right in there just like that. And then pretty soon you're going to see roots starting to grow off your celery. And the first thing you're going to see though is these little things right here, the little pieces of stalks of celery. Those are going to start protruding out of the top. You don't want to plant it then. You want to wait until you have enough roots on the bottom to do that, to plant it. All right, so that guy's good to go. We're going to do the same thing here with the lettuce. Not all the way to the bottom. But again, we're going to take our knife. We're just going to barely skim the bottom of it. Taking that, it's kind of like a scab from being, you know, cut. And we're going to expose that. And we're going to put this in this glass of water here. Except for I'm going to put a skewer through it because I want to make sure that it doesn't fall in to the water. And you got to keep an eye on this because this, you got to make sure that it's in the water at all times. Lettuce likes cold weather, likes cold water. Celery, they get too warm, they're not happy either. The onion, that's fine. That'll be just fine. But yeah, this is how you're going to grow your lettuce. I'm just really thankful that I had this one in the refrigerator and that I can use because this can just go into my magical bag of soup stock. So it all adds up after time, guys. It all adds up. Especially if I can get these guys to grow, which I'm going to go put them downstairs on my grow light now. The celery I'm going to use tonight in a soup. Tonight on the galley menu is cream of potato, carrots from my garden, and green beans from my garden. I thought I had broccoli, but I don't. So we're just going to use green beans in it instead of broccoli. And it's going to be it's like it's going to be like this long. It's cheesy, cream of potato, carrot, green bean, mushroom, turkey kielbasa, cheesy soup. Got it? All right. Yay. Whew, that was tough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to cut up everything that I need to get cut up, and I'm going to throw some celery in it, and of course, you know, this guy, and of course the garlic. I'm also going to put some liquid smoke in it because I want it to have that smoky flavor. And I already mentioned that. I have some, let's see, I have a little bit of cheese left over here, and I got a little bit here that I need to get used up. And I've got this big block of American that I need to get. I'll probably only use maybe a quarter of that, but because I got so much here. So anyway, you know, the mushrooms, I didn't use them all when I made my pot roast, so they're just going to go into this too. It's kind of like a refrigerator soup, kind of, but this is what I have, and this is what's for dinner tonight. You're also going to need some whole milk, and you guessed it, of course, we're going to be cooking in Thelma tonight. Yes, I named my cast iron pans. Yes, I know I'm weird, and yes, I'm okay with it. Took me a long time to be okay with being weird. So I've moved some of this stuff out of the way here, and I'm just going to work on peeling my potatoes. I've never used a potato peeler, you know, like a potato peeler. Never used one. Just always did it this way. Now the way I'm going to cut these up for this soup is a little different. I mean, it's still rustic, but I like them diced up rather than chunked up. So we're just going to give them a rough dice. Kind of like that, a rough dice. I don't ever remember my mom using a potato peeler either. I know she had one, but I never saw her use it though. I always just saw her peeling by hand. It's not often that I do peel my potatoes, but for this soup I do. The reason why my Dutch oven is named Thelma is after my grandmother. It was my grandmother's before it was my mom's. And before it was mine. And my grandmother's name was Thelma. So I named it Thelma. Chopped up. And yes, I'm going to use all of this. I'm going to use every bit of it. Lots of flavor in those leaves. All right. Now these are good. I'm going to go ahead and throw these in Thelma. I think I should name one of my pans Louise. I got a 12-inch cast iron pan for Christmas. Oh my! It's early Christmas, and I named her Arbutus. Her name is Arbutus. See, what I want to do is I want this. What's in the bowl here? I want this to render down. I want to get the onions, the mushrooms. I was trying to say onions and mushrooms at the same time. Onions, mushrooms, and celery. I want to get those cooked down and rendered down together. I don't want them just boiled. I actually want them sauteed. So I am going to put a little bit of oil in the bottom. Maybe a little pat of butter, but that's going to be it. This dish has already got enough fat content for a continent. So we don't need to add any more to it. So I'll probably, I don't know. There might just be enough in there. Maybe I'll just do it with water. I don't know. But what I'm going to do is add some salt and pepper to it. I found these really cool salt and pepper shakers at the thrift store. They were 12 bucks, but they're marble. And I thought, wow, these are really pretty. So I bought them in the hopes that they didn't get rid of them because they didn't work. But no, they do. They work. They work beautifully. Nice. All right. We're going to get Thelma on the stove. As usual, Thelma has done a beautiful job of rendering those down. They look great. Now it's time for us to start our base for our soup. I don't know if I gotta move this over or not. Can't see. All right. So this is all rendered down and nice. Now we're gonna start adding our milk and our heavy, what is this? Evaporated milk, yeah. I don't have one of those thingies where it's like a triangle that you open up a can with. I don't have one of those. So I do it this way. Put the knife in, pull it up, perfect. Comes right up. We're just gonna add our whole can in here. I'm not gonna pick her up because she is very hot right now. And now we're going to add milk. This is whole milk. We are making a creamed soup here. And this is 1%. If I had more whole, I would have put that in there, but I didn't. Don't fill it up too high because you still have your carrots, in my case, my beans, and potatoes to add to that, and you don't want it to overflow. So Thelma and I are going to go back over to the stove, and she's going to finish bubbling this stuff up. Okay, we're starting to thaw out a little bit. I'm just going to go and I'm going to cut them and maybe quarter them. You can see that? I cut it in half, and now I'm just going to slice it like this. And then after Thelma gets boiling, we are going to add our potatoes. How we doing, Thelma? Not boiling yet. We're getting there though. Carrots. We could make it fancy and not rustic. We could call them carrots and potatoes. Yes, we could. In chess instead of cheese. Getting all fancy like Applebee's in here. Okay, how you doing, Thelma? All right, we're starting to bubble a little bit. Oh, move that over there. I'm gonna give Thelma a quick stir here. So I've got my cheeses here. Cheeses, good Lord. So we've got our cheeses. Just gonna put that on the plate. I don't know if I'll use all that. I may not. And then I will just freeze what's left or just keep in the fridge for topping a salad or whatever. If we can afford lettuce, God. Or if I can grow it, would be even better. You know what strikes me as odd? Watching other people on YouTube doing this, and you know, like me, just, you know, they're by themselves and stuff, and how comfortable they are talking to like a nothing. You know, I'm standing here, I'm like, my dog has to think I'm nuts. It's like, he has to, and the cats too. They're probably like, Daddy, Mom's talking to herself while you're gone. Come here, Thelma. There you go. You're gonna need my spoon. All right, the first thing that we're going to put in is our potatoes. All right, here we go, back to the stove. As I'm looking at these green beans, I'm reminded of a story. I'm still waiting for Thelma to get it together over there. And I'm looking at these green beans, and it reminds me of a story that about Wyatt. Wyatt is our youngest child. He is autistic. And the school called me one day, and whoever it was on the other line said, Wyatt is absolutely refusing to eat. And I said, okay. I said, well, what are you trying to feed him? He said, green beans. And I said, well, that's odd because Wyatt loves green beans. I said, that's weird. And, you know, I could hear Wyatt in the back just, you know, chattering away and talking and talking and talking. And I said, you know what, put me on speaker. I said, I want to talk to him. Let me talk to him about what's going on. So she puts me on speaker. And I said, Wyatt, what's the deal with the green beans? I said, how come you're not eating them? How come you don't like them? He said, because you said there was poisonuses in them. I said, what? What do you mean? I said that there was poison in them. And he said, you told me that the canned green beans had the poisonuses in them. And I said, oh, honey, I said, no. I said, I told you that there were preservatives in them, not poison. And he said to me, he said it's the same thing because they taste terrible. Oh. Wyatt had never had a green bean out of a can before, so he wasn't used to that, and he swore that they were trying to poison him. So, long story short, being his mom has been a trip. It has. And that's not the only story that I've got from him. That child is the apple of my eye. I love all my boys. They are wonderful human beings. Absolutely wonderful human beings. All right, Thelma is finally boiling, and our potatoes are they're not completely tender. They're not completely cooked, which is good. That's what I want. And now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add some green beans. Maybe not all of them. I want a good ratio here. And some carrots. Squeeze some of the water out of them. So, come on, Thelma. You're like the traveling Dutch oven. Okay, so I've made my thickening agent here. It's just all-purpose flour. I think I put in like 4 tablespoons and some hot water, maybe a half a cup. And this is what it's going to look like. Kind of like really runny pancake batter. And we're going to put that in our soup to thicken it up because it's a cream soup. And right now it's like really still quite, well, I don't know. Could you really call it a soup if it's not? It's a cream soup. Now we're going to add our thickener. Does anybody else remember that show, Boiling Point on MTV? Oh, geez, that was a funny show. It's where they used to make people like really mad until they would like blow up. I guess it would be like they would test their patience, how far they could take them until they finally said something or did something or yelled. It was funny. It was a very, very funny show. I think it was on MTV. Okay, here we go. We're just going to dump our flour thickener in here, or mixture. You don't want to put too much in here because this stuff really works well. And just take your fork and kind of whisk it around in there. Yeah, I can use a metal fork on my pan. Doesn't hurt Thelma at all. Try that with a Teflon pan. All right. I think we're incorporated well. We got a potato that ran away. Get back in there. All right, we are now getting to the point here to where I'm going to make this bubble a little bit more and have it thicken up a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our cheese to it. Come on, my traveling Dutch oven. This is just so much easier than trying to move that camera back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Okay, now that we're barely bubbling here, and as you can see, that flour worked. It thickened it up, but not so much that, you know, it's like trying to eat cement. Just gonna give a little more stirs here, and I turned it on low. I don't want this to be boiling. Like I said, with cheese, you gotta be careful with it. You gotta be careful of your temperature when you're cooking with cheese. It only needs to be hot, not boiling. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Not bad for whipping together some leftovers. Okay, now we have basically stopped boiling, so I can go ahead and I'm just gonna add a little bit at a time, not a whole bunch. Just gonna add a little bit. And I'm just going to slowly stir that in. Kind of fold it, actually. Not stir it, but fold it. This is kind of comfort food for the soul, I guess. It's good stuff. All right, that's a wrap, my friends. And as always, go play with your own food.
It's so strong.